Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Forward them bitches. We are live, goddamn. Oh my God. We are live. Finally. Finally. Oh my God. Forward them bitches. Finally, we are live. The technical difficulties have been fast and furious, goddamn. Finally. 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 Forward them bitches, man. Wow. It has been quite the mission. Um, Trying to get live today, man. Technical difficulties have been fast and furious and really cut into the time I'm gonna be on here, man. So this is gonna be a bit of a shorter stream than I would have liked it to be because I have a lot to talk about. I might even want to break this motherfucking live into a few different parts. That way, you know what I'm saying? That way I can get through all the stuff I want to talk about, but it might be irrelevant by the time I actually get to it. But fuck all that, man. We live, we here. Welcome to Late Night Boxing Talk. I'm your host, King David. You on the realest motherfucking boxing channel there is. Box or die. Box or die. You know what I mean? If you haven't, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like the video. Let them know we talk that boxing shit, man. But bruh. Bruh, let me check the sound quality, man. The amount of issues I've been having, the amount of issues that I've been having. Bruh, let me check the sound quality. All right, we sound good. God damn. I literally spent the last 25 minutes trying to work through all this technical bullshit. Actually, it's been more like 30, 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, we are here. We are here. And we here to talk some good boxing shit, man. I know a few people was waiting on me. The dudes who was waiting and I ain't get here in time, I apologize. Shit. I'm gonna strive to do better next time. All that shit, you know what I mean. But for right now, we here. We gonna chop up some boxing shit while we can, and we gonna make the best out of the situation. Goddamn! But the topic of the video is the fights that we have, the fights that we think we have so far. You know what I mean? The fights that we think we have, because so far, we have a lot of fights out there that are talked about. We have a lot of fights out there that are in the works, that are rumored to be done. All these little code words that people use when they trying to insinuate that the fight is done, but they're not actually seeing the fight done. Like, we don't actually have the announcement or anything like that. We don't actually have a date or venue or anything like that. But according to all these news sources that we hearing about these fights, they're done. The paperwork, both fighters agree to terms. Like, how many fucking YouTube videos have you seen today where it says both fighters agree to terms? Both fighters agree to term. Fight almost done. How many fucking videos have you fucking seen that said this shit? And it's just really annoying because you see those videos back to back to back to back to back, but then we don't get the fucking fight. So it's just like, all right, I'm gonna do a fucking video talking about. I'm gonna do a live today. The live today is gonna be me talking about the fights that we think we have, because we don't really know for sure if we really have the fucking fight. You know what I'm saying? We don't really know for sure, but we're gonna assume we do, and we're gonna talk about the fight, how good it is, all that good shit. So that way, you know what I mean, we can have some fun with this shit. God damn it, because all this fucking bullshit, we got the fight done shit, all that almost agreed to terms, all that is bullshit. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the fights, man, because we got a lot of fights to talk about. We got a lot of fights to talk about, okay? And the first fight that's up on the agenda, Okay, because we're gonna dig right into it. The first fight up right now is Tank Davis versus Mario Barrios. Okay, that's the first fight up on the agenda. That is a fight that's supposed to be done. See the goddamn air quotes? It's done. It's done. Almost both fighters agree. Both fighters agree to terms. Almost done. All these goddamn headlines. So Tank Davis and Mario Barrios is the first up. We could talk about this fight. You know what? Since I've been back doing boxing and shit like that, I haven't really talked about Tank Davis. So let me kind of talk a little bit about Tank Davis, like my thoughts on him. I like Tank. I think Tank is an explosive fighter. He has explosive power in both hands. And he's actually pretty good technically. But Tank moves in a way with his career that I don't like. You know what I'm saying? He moves his career in a way that I don't really like. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, this fight with Mario Barrios is good. This is a pretty good fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not hating on that fight. It's a pretty good fight. But my guy, you have dudes in your own division that you haven't fought yet. And this is the problem with these dudes that move up 2 and 3 weight divisions to fight somebody because it's a perceived big fight. In this particular case, this is more of a Canelo situation that Tank is trying to do right now. You know what I'm saying? Black Gold says Mayweather won't let Tank fight anybody we want to see him fight. I mean, that's pretty much what it is right now. Tank is just kind of hovering around, and he's not really fighting nobody. And then now we hear about this fight, and it's him going up 2 weight classes to fight this dude, Mario Barrios, which, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be a good fight, but my guy, you're in a weight division with so many people in your weight division that you haven't fought yet. So it's like, why should I be really excited about this fight? Should I be excited about the fight because it's a good fight? I mean, I am. It is a good fight. But at the same time, my excitement shouldn't end there. It should mean something. You know what I'm saying? If you go up 2 weight divisions and you beat Mario Barrios, let's say you knock his ass out, that's a good accomplishment for Tank. He moved up and fought this dude, but it doesn't really mean anything to the overall landscape of boxing. I still don't know whether Tank is the best at 130, 135, and definitely not 140 because really Barrios is a belt holder, not really the champ. We know the champs are Ramirez and Taylor. So, I mean, unless you're fighting one of those dudes and you beat one of those dudes, only then will we actually know who the best is or near the best, because you still got to, I mean, we got to see who the winner of Taylor versus Ramirez is going to be. But it's like, all right, you know, you making this move, but what does it really mean at the end of the fucking day? You know what I'm saying? You know, it's very clear to me that Mayweather is moving Tank's career because he's moved in a very Mayweather-esque kind of way his entire career. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I think overall this is a good fight. It's not the fight that we want to see. And you know what? As boxing fans, man, we got to make sure we fucking talk about that. Like, okay, this is a good fight, but this is not what we wanted to see. You know what I'm saying? This is not what we wanted to see. We want to see Tank Davis versus Lomachenko. We want to see Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. We want to see Tank Davis versus some of the other champs in the division, Teofimo Lopez, any of these other dudes. This is who we want. We don't really need to see Tank Davis versus Mario Barrios. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, they kind of force feeding us some shit. And it's not bad, but it's just like, yo, this ain't what we wanted. You know what I'm saying? But overall, this is a pretty good fight, man. I think Barrios is a very aggressive kind of style. You know, kind of like what Tank likes to fight. You know what I'm saying? I think his style is a little tailor-made for Tank. It would have been similar to a Ryan Garcia fight. The Ryan Garcia fight would have meant a little bit more. Not really, because I mean, we talk about that Ryan Garcia versus Tank fight like it's the shit. But in all actuality, Ryan ain't even a champ. Ryan's not even a champ at 135. He doesn't have any belt. He's never even fought for an opportunity at any of the belts. You know what I'm saying? I guess this would be him challenging. This would be his first title shot would be against Tank Davis. So it's like, And then he's the mandatory for Devin Haney's belt. So it's just like, okay, you're choosing to fight another champion, but it's like, okay, even that fight is just kind of like, all right, that's a money fight. You know what I'm saying? That would have been still better than this Mario Barrio fight. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not knocking the fight. Again, it's a pretty good fight. You know what I'm saying? The only thing we can do is really hope that the fight is actually like done. Like, are we actually gonna get the fight now? All these rumors and all this shit going around talking about this fight is done, is signed, sealed, delivered. Both terms, both parties agreed the terms. You know what I'm saying? But we don't really know shit until the fight is announced. You know what I mean? And that's constantly what we have to deal with as boxing fans. You know what I'm saying? So they promoting this fight. All I can hope is that the fight happens. It looks like it will. Please, God, make it happen. Goddamn. But on to the next, man. Because there's a lot of fights right now that are in the works. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fights right now that are terms agreed, you know. But this is one fight. This next fight is one fight that we know it's done. We know it's done because both the fighters are in-house. There's a scheduled date. We know what the fuck is going on. And that's Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. So this is probably, honestly, this is probably the most exciting fight of the year right now. You know what I'm saying? It probably is. As a matter of fact, it is. Black Gold says Ryan is a C-level fighter. Honestly, I do believe he can improve a whole lot with Reynoso, but he won't beat any of the top prospects unless he clips them. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that 100%. He's a C-level fighter. If Tank would have knocked his ass out, you know, it wouldn't have meant much. You know, it would have just been a big money fight. He hasn't really accomplished much in his career at this particular point in time. So, I mean, what does a fighter like Tank, who's multiple weight division champion, have to really gain by beating Ryan Garcia, somebody who's really at this point, we can still call him a prospect because he's never been a champion. Or we can call him a contender because he's competing for a championship. You know what I'm saying? He's not really there. So it's just like, okay, you beat a contender, you beat some guy coming up, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, still don't mean much. Black Gold says, I got Taylor. If he chooses to box and clean, it's a clean sweep. I think so too. I think a lot of people have Josh Taylor winning that fight. Josh Taylor has overall better boxing skills. If he just sticks to boxing, he's gonna outbox Jose Ramirez pretty easily to me. But the thing about it is, that's why we watch, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we watch the sport, because you never know what can happen. You never know how these fights are gonna go. You know what I'm saying? You never know how these fights are gonna go. So, but I feel like this is the most meaningful fight, you know what I'm saying, of the year right now so far in 2021. We're gonna get an undisputed champion at 140 pounds. You know what I'm saying, and a rightful undisputed champion at 140 pounds. So the winner of this fight, it'd be cool if the winner of this fight, you know, if it is Josh Taylor, which we all think is gonna be Josh Taylor, if he moved up and fought Terrence Crawford next or something like that. I think a lot of people kind of have that as the possible direction for Terrence Crawford, considering all the Earl Spence shit going down the toilet and, you know, all that bullshit. But Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez is a big fight. I'm looking forward to it. It's something to look for 2021, and it's one of the few fights that I think as boxing fans we actually have confidence that the shit is actually gonna fucking happen, which is great. All right. But the next fight we want to go ahead and talk about, man, we'll move the fuck on from that one. That was a good one. But the next fight that we want to talk about is Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter over at welterweight. Terrence and Sean right now. So I did a live maybe like 2 weeks ago or something like that, where I was talking about how I believe that this was a really good fight. You know what I'm saying? Just a stylistic matchup of Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford. Sean Porter is the aggressive brawler, and Terrence Crawford is more of the boxer puncher. You know what I'm saying? But what makes more of the aggressive, the boxer puncher. Everybody knows, history has shown us that those fights always make for the best possible fights. You know what I'm saying? We seen that when Marvin Hagler fought Sugar Ray Leonard. We saw that. There's just a lot of examples in history. Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. Roberto was more of a brawler than, you know what I mean, than Sugar Ray was the boxer. So like history has shown us that those are the best fights out there. You know what I'm saying? So this is really gonna be a good one. And I think what makes this extra interesting is Bud's aggression. You know what I'm saying? Like Bud is not, he's not gonna let you just maul him. He's gonna fight you the fuck back. But he's not gonna box you. He's gonna fight you the fuck back. And that's what I really like about Bud. Black Gold number 3 says Bud by stoppage. I agree with that 100%. Porter doesn't look the same, and Bud seems to be getting stronger and punching a lot harder. Yes, a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss that. I mean, even though he's knocking people out, people are still like looking at Bud Crawford like he's an 140 pounder or a 135 pounder, like he's this little guy. There was I think like last week or something like that. Bud was at the Canelo fight, and he was standing there next to Demetrius Andrade, Bud, Demetrius Andrade, and Danny Garcia. I think a lot of people seen this video. They were in there and they were like chopping it up together, and Bud was damn near the same size as Demetrius Andrade. You know what I'm saying? Which is a 160 pounder. You know what I'm saying? So Bud is not only getting stronger, he's getting bigger. He's getting that man strength. And then he has the boxing skills and ability to go with that. So that makes for a very dangerous combination, which leads me into my next point. Because there's a lot of talk of Bud actually moving up to 154, which a lot of people perceive as inconceivable. But I personally think Bud goes up there and dominates at 154. You know what I'm saying? But back to Sean Porter real quick. Back to Sean Porter. Bud is very aggressive to me by nature. You know what I'm saying? So he's not going to let Sean just maul him. I feel like Bud is going to be leading him into punches and Sean will get stopped. I agree with Black Gold 155%, my guy. 155%. I agree with that. 155%. Sean Porter is going to be mauling. He's going to be running into shots. Bud is going to be, not only is he going to run into counter punches and shots like that, but Bud is going to put him on his back foot. He's going to have him backing up. He's going to be digging to the body. He's going to be doing little things here and there to make Sean very uncomfortable, and Sean will get stopped. But I think ultimately this is a really good fight, and this is a fight that I'm looking forward to should it actually be signed. But the thing about it is, if I'm Bud Crawford, is Sean Porter who I want to fight. You know what I'm saying? And after the whole Manny Pacquiao situation fell through, I can see Bud looking more strongly at that whole Sean Porter fight, but also looking at other options. You know what I'm saying? Like I talked earlier about the fact that he can move up to 154 and do his thing up there. You know what I'm saying? I think actually that would probably be a better move than fighting Sean Porter. Actually, I'm kind of in and out with that, because he could fight Sean Porter, and then after he fights Sean Porter, he could fight the winner between Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. Maybe one of them will move up, or maybe they could fight at a catchweight, and then after that, maybe he could move up. You know what I'm saying? I see that being a good little decision. Or he could just move up right away and fight for the WBO, because that WBO title might not be available by the time he gets done with Sean, and by the time he gets done with Josh Taylor, if he's the winner. You know what I mean? So if I'm Bud, I'm looking real heavily at that. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, man, I'm really hoping that this fight gets done, Sean and Bud, because it's just going to be a very entertaining fight. I think we all know how it ends ultimately, but it's a good fight. It's a really, really good fight, man. And, I think, but to me, like, what do you guys think? What do you guys think the odds of Sean and Terrence actually happening? To me, I'm like 50%. I'm like, right now, after the Pacquiao thing fell through and we see that it's falling through or whatever, we still don't really know, but it looks like it's falling through. I say it's probably like 60-40 that the fight actually happens. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with it. Say it's about 60-40, you know? Because I feel like Bud at this point, he looks at Sean like a dangerous opponent, but also something that isn't really needed in as far as the development of his career. Like, a lot of people talk about his resume, but he has a good resume, man, overall. 147, you could say Earl's is better, but not by much. And if Bud went up to 154, I don't think too many people would complain. Black Gold says, correct me if I'm wrong, but he would still be able to activate a mandatory for the WBO with Jermell or Castino winner. Right? Yes, he would be. Yes, he would be. And actually, he can actually, with the WBO, he can hold both of those belts at the same time. So he can get the belt at 154 and have the belt at 147. You know what I mean? But I feel like he should probably campaign at 154. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be no real reason to come back down to 147 because you know, one of the other fights we're going to talk about, Earl versus Ugas, may end up happening, and Earl doesn't seem interested in making that fight happen. Black Gold also says 70-30. I'm saying, you say 70-30, the fight actually happens. Black Gold, 70% it happens, 30% it doesn't. That's about where I'm at. I'm at like 60-40 right now. I'm at like 60-40. It doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Or 60% it happens, 40% it doesn't happen. You know? It seemed like it's happening, but again, we still don't know. We still don't know what the real deal is. If it happens, I'm happy. But if it doesn't happen, I understand too. If it doesn't happen, I get that too. Because Bud decides, hey man, you know, I don't really need a Sean Porter on my resume. I don't really need that fight. It really does nothing for me in my career. Sean got no belts. He got 3 losses. It's, you know, it's just another tough fight. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at if I'm Bud. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what happens, man. I would not be mad at that 154 move. Black Gold says, yes, Bud doesn't have many options. I mean, he doesn't have many options at 147, but 154. If he went up to 154, he got that WBO. Okay. And then he somehow was able to pick up that IBF. So now he got the IBF and the WBO at 154. Because he can challenge for that WBO almost right away at 154. He could get that belt. If he wanted to do that now, he could do that now. And then he could probably pick up that IBF too. And then it would be him and Jermell who have 2 titles at 154. And if him and Jermell got 2 titles at 154, I don't see Jermell not fighting Bud. I don't see Jermell putting Bud through the same things Earl did. Black Gold said, yes, if he beats Mel at 154, that does way more for his legacy than Porter. 100%. 100%. I see that as a legitimate route for him, though. I see that as a legitimate route. Go up to 154, get that WBO, then get that IBF, then fight Mel. But even if he fought Mel and lost to Mel, it would still be better for his career. You know what I'm saying? Than sitting around at 147 and waiting on Josh Taylor and doing all these little things here and there. We don't even know if Josh Taylor is going to want to fight Bud Crawford. You know, he may. I mean, Josh Taylor hasn't been ducking anyone or anything like that. But, you know, the way how boxing has been going lately, you know what I'm saying? We don't know what the fuck. We don't know if dudes are going to fight. Because here's the thing in boxing that's been happening a lot lately. Here's the thing that's been happening a lot. Dudes get a little bit of success. They get a belt. And they talk one way before they get a belt. They're like, oh, I'm going to fight everybody. Anybody who want it, they can get it. You know what I mean? You line them up, I'm going to knock them down. People use all them little ridiculous catchphrases. And then as soon as they get a few belts, we got to see because he ain't really fight nobody. The whole energy changed. So, but if I was Bud, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't wait on that. I wouldn't wait on, because I mean, even Josh Taylor, he could probably say, I'm a 140 pounder. I'm gonna stay at 140. You know. So if I'm Bud, I'm like, man, fuck all that, man. Let's go to 154. Let's see what they're talking about at 154. Let's get this WBO. Or he could just get the WBO at 154 and then have the WBO at 154 and then have the WBO at 147 and just kind of keep his options open. Maybe go back to campaigning at 147 and just kind of go back and forth between 147 and 154. Mayweather had belts in both weight divisions. I don't see why Bud Crawford couldn't do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about. But nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? Sean and back on point, Sean and Terrence is still a great fight. Sean and Terrence is probably the most action-packed fight that we may have on the horizon right now. You know what I'm saying? Is what I'm thinking about. Dreyer Way says, I think Spence beats Bud. It's weird. He seems like he doesn't want it, though. Yeah. Well, I do not agree that he beats Bud, but I do agree 100% that I don't think he wants it. I don't think Earl wants that fight. I don't think Earl wants that fight because he knows that he's probably going to lose. He knows that he's going to lose for sure, or he just feels like it's too risky for this point in his career. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's waiting on Bud to get older. I don't know what Earl's exact reasoning is, but clearly he views it as a high-risk fight, so he's staying away from it 155%. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even thinking about Spence and Bud no more as far as a fight is concerned because I just see that fight so far. That fight is so far in the rearview mirror that I'm just like, is that even worth talking about now? But that's a great fight. That's a great fight. Dre Ware, man, appreciate the subscribe, my boy. Appreciate that, my guy. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. But yes, sir. On to the next little fight that we might be getting. The next fight that we may have, all right, is going to be Manny versus Mikey. Manny versus Mikey is the next fight that we may have coming up. Manny versus Mikey. Manny Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia. So here's my problem with this fight. I feel like my problem with this fight is probably going to be the same as a lot of you guys out there. I feel like it will be the same. Let me read this comment real quick. Amandis Ondos. That's a 50-50 fight. I think Al Heyman ruins fighters. They fight once a year, and you never hear any of those fights before Mel with any ambition, really. Besides Mel, I meant. Yeah. That sounds about right. A lot of these dudes, man, they come in real ambitious. They ready to go. They ready to fight everybody. Yeah, calling everybody out. You know what I'm saying? They get a belt and they like, let's talk about this. What has he done? 60-40, 70-30, whatever I give him. I'm going to fight this person, and then after that, I'm going to fight him. Or to just flat out ignore the fact that the fight is even an option. They'll pretend like the motherfucker that people asking them to fight don't even exist. Black Gold says Mikey was like 190 in his last interview. Hilarious. Him and Pac looking to cash out. That sounds about right. Mikey looked like a goddamn sumo wrestler the last time I seen him. I know that motherfucker probably just now getting in the gym. You know what I mean? But that's perfect for Pac. Pac is looking for. And here's the thing about Pac, right? Pacquiao, right? He's not going to be like Canelo and fight somebody who's coming off of a loss and ain't fighting 2 years. Well, he did fight Keith Thurman, so I take that back a little bit. He did fight Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was coming off 2 years, so I do take that back a little bit. But Pac, he'll try to fight. He won't fight anyone too dangerous, but he'll fight somebody who will give him a good fight. And he's kind of earned that at this point in his career. But the problem with Pac is, why you got to waste everybody's fucking time? Why do you have to waste everybody's fucking time? If you want to fight Mikey Garcia, fight Mikey Garcia. I don't think there would have been a single person who would have complained about Mikey Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao. Nobody would have complained about that shit. Nobody would have had a problem. They done strip pack already. They done got rid of that shit. Yeah, man, you ain't even no belt holder. Fight whoever the fuck you want to fight. But why you gotta ruin fights? Why you gotta destroy other fights in your fucking path in order to fucking get one fight done? It doesn't make no sense. Black Gold says you gotta coin you gotta coin the duck talk phrase. Duck language. I might get a shirt. I might get a sweater saying duck language, man. But I can't fully claim that, man. I actually came up on that phrase in the comment section somewhere. You know, if you ever go to any boxing video, man, and you just scroll through the comment section, you will fucking be surprised with the shit that you'll read in there, man. Duck language was something I definitely stole from somebody. I don't know who the fuck it was, but I will definitely be the one using that shit. And I will definitely get me I'll get me a sweater and some hats that say duck language. Yeah, I like that. I like that for sure, Black Gold. Duck language is a thing. Duck language is a culture. By the way, another live, we're going to be doing another live next week, duck language part 2. Because the first video I did about duck language, half the fucking video, like the audio was gone. And that was a really good fucking live, man. I'm really mad about that. Half the audio was gone on that shit, man. So I got to get up here. I got to do another live on duck language because there's a whole bunch of there's much more duck verbiage that needs to be covered. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely going to get on there 100%. Amadi says, who do you got, Fury or Joshua? I say AJ wins that fight. AJ wins that fight, my boy, but I think it's going to be a real tough fight. I think it's going to be a really tough fight. I think it's going to be slightly boring, actually. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be kind of boring. I feel like AJ is going to be trying to fight from a distance, and Fury doesn't really throw that many punches like that. Fury doesn't throw that many punches like that. We about to talk about that. We're going ahead a little bit. Drayway says, I got Joshua by stoppage. Fury acting real scary, like, yeah. Fury acting real erratic in general. You know what I'm saying? He acted real erratic in general, like he on that booger sugar. You know what I'm saying? You know, like he on that booger sugar. That's how Fury be acting on a normal basis. Black Gold says Fury might outbox him. It depends on what his game plan is. It does. It depends. It definitely depends. It definitely depends on the game plan. One thing is for sure. The game plan needs to be much different for Joshua than it was for Wilder, 100%. It needs to be much different for Joshua than it was for Wilder. Two different fighters. Two different fighters, two different skill sets. I liked how AJ fought Ruiz. You know, clearly AJ has kind of come up on a new level of focus and concentration. He came into that Ruiz 2, I mean, not the first one when he got fucking stopped. Ruiz 2, he came in with a new level of focus. And he needs to have that same level of focus in this Fury fight, which I believe he will. I think it should be dope. But back to Manny Pacquiao, man. We kind of got off track a little bit. Back to Manny Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia. So yeah, man, with Pac, it's like, why did you have to, why you got to ruin fights in order to tell us that you're going to fight Mikey Garcia? Now, mind you, we don't know if this fight is actually happening. We got Mikey Garcia saying the fight is almost done, but we always hear that shit. We always hear that the fight is almost done. Both fighters agree to terms. All this clickbait on the internet. And then while we're hearing the fight is almost done, no announcements, no kind of confirmation that the fight is actually done. So even at this point, after Mikey Garcia coming out and saying the fight's almost done, We still don't know that for sure. And we still can't put our money up saying, hey, this fight is going to happen. We still don't know. Dre Way says Wilder somewhere twerking. Come on, Dre, man. Why we doing that? Why we doing that? Why we doing that? We trying to stay on the positivity. Black Gold says Pac-Man should win unless Mikey clips him. Yeah, Pac-Man should definitely win. Pac-Man should definitely win. But Mikey Garcia is actually a much better boxer than I gave him credit for. Much better boxer than I gave him credit for. I saw his true boxing ability come out in that Adrian Broner fight. He made Adrian Broner look real pedestrian in that fight. He made him look real pedestrian in that fight. Now, mind you, we know what Adrian Broner's problems are. He doesn't let his punches go enough and that sort of thing. But he boxed circles around Adrian Broner. So I feel like Mikey may have the skills to be able to beat Pac-Man. But just like you said, Pac-Man is going to outwork him. Mikey doesn't have the work rate to be able to win rounds against Pacquiao. And he doesn't have the skills to be able to avoid punches like somebody like Mayweather, not get hit. He's not going to use his legs that much. He's pretty slow-footed. You know what I'm saying? So his only hope is to be able to clip Pac-Man, which he could do because I see him he doesn't have the same counter-punching ability as Juan Manuel. I'm not even going to put him nowhere near that level, but I feel like he will be able to use that level of counter-punching ability to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? And he does have power. So if he can incorporate that power with some of the boxing technique, maybe watch some Juan Manuel tapes, you know what I'm saying? Marquez tapes. I feel like it could work out in Mikey's favor if he was to fight Pac-Man for sure. I would say that's I would go 60-40 Pacquiao in that fight. 60-40 Pacquiao. It's a good fight. It's not the fight we wanted to see, but it's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. But again, man, with Manny, why we hear you gonna fight Ryan Garcia, and then we hear you gonna fight Terrence Crawford, and then Mikey Garcia coming out here saying that the fight is almost done? Why? You know what else I don't get? I feel like Mikey may have blew it a little bit too by announcing that. I know these dudes like Mayweather and Pacquiao, they like to be the ones to announce fights and shit like that, you know? So he might have blew it a little bit. Black Gold says, Mikey has great fundamentals and timing. Broner's more athletic, but doesn't have enough activity to offset Mikey's timing. Absolutely. And who else had great timing? Marquez. Marquez had great timing. Great timing, great counter-punching ability. And Marquez was able to knock Pacquiao out. And I feel like Mikey definitely has the same shot. But yeah, he made Broner look real pedestrian. I think that was the first fight I saw Broner look that pedestrian in a fight. Dre West says Pac-Man's the GOAT. He can do what he wants. I agree, but why the fuck you gotta come on, bro? Like, we probably could have had Tank and Ryan already. You know what I'm saying? We probably could have had what's the other fight, man? He ruined a few fights. We could have had Tank and Ryan. We could have had Ryan and Pac, Ryan and Terrence. Like, bro, like they could have been making other fights happen. Terrence could have been, maybe we could have got this Sean Porter fight finalized with Terrence Crawford. He over here worried about Manny Pacquiao. We definitely could have had Ryan and Tank. That's for sure. You know what I'm saying? Amanda says, yeah, because if you think about it, Canelo's doing the same thing that Pac-Man's doing. Billy Joe's sitting here not being as sharp as he could because he don't want to fight Andre. 100%. I agree with that 1000%. Andre would beat Billy. Andre would beat Billy Joe. Yes, he would. 100%. Black Gold says Mikey Garcia is like Tim Duncan. Yes. Fundamentals matter. with Mikey Garcia. Fundamentals matter with Mikey. Yeah, man. But to talk about what Amadis is saying, man, yeah, man, Canelo's doing the exact same thing that Pac-Man's doing. You know, and the sad thing is these fighters aren't learning, bro. Like they sitting around waiting. Like Billy Joe, he not only is he not like he's just not fighting. He's like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait on Canelo because I don't want nothing to like ruin my shot at getting Canelo. But it's like at the same time, you're not fighting. So you're literally on the shelves. You don't have anything to prepare for. Billy Joe looked big as fuck the last time I seen him too. I wouldn't be surprised if he was coming down from 200 plus pounds. So it's like you sitting there, you getting fat, you waiting on Canelo. Meanwhile, Canelo's fighting, Canelo's making money. You know what I'm saying? So by the time you actually get in the ring with Canelo, but hold on, but that we jumping ahead because we got a lot of fights to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Black Gold says Mikey Garcia is like, okay, I read that already. Black Gold says, nah, Tank ain't fighting nobody in their prime. And I think an active focus Tank beats all of them except Shakur. I think Tank is very skilled, has a whole lot of power. I think he doesn't beat Devin either. I don't think he beats Devin either. I think Tevin beats Tank. I think Devin will beat Loma. I think he'll beat Loma, and I think he'll beat T.O. The only person I think he loses to is probably Devin. You know what I'm saying? But he definitely got a shot at beating Devin. 100%. Do you think Billy Joe would have beat Charlo? I do. Slick southpaw, great movement. Here's the thing, man, and we jumping ahead just a little bit, but fuck it. Billy Joe, 2 years ago, when he fought David Lemieux, proved that he has the skills to be able to beat anyone in boxing. At the time, if you remember Billy Joe was calling out Triple G. He was calling out Canelo. He wanted those fights. Canelo and Triple G wanted nothing to do with Billy Joe. Billy Joe had a few bad performances, and now all of a sudden Billy Joe's up next on the list. But Billy Joe has the skill set to be able to beat pretty much anybody in the division. Very slick dude with a little bit of power and strong too on top of that. I don't think Billy Joe would beat Charlo. I feel like that'll be a 60-40 fight though. That'll be a 60-40 fight in Charlo's favor. He definitely has, to me, in my opinion, he definitely has the potential to beat Charlo. But to me, Charlo is just as slick, but has more power, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Dre West says, that was nasal spray Billy. He's a legend. Nasal spray Billy. Billy was definitely on that booger sugar, 100%. Probably still is. I ain't, know what the fuck going on there. Nasal spray Billy, man. Definitely ducked Andrade. And Billy did some shit I really didn't like with Andrade, man. Billy Joe Saunders fucking like they, and I kind of get it. I kind of get it too. Because he said he wanted to fight Andrade. He was all in on the Andrade fight. I'm not worried about Canelo. I want to fight Andrade. I'm going to beat Andrade. Blah, 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 blah. Canelo says, hey, but I actually want to fight you now. And Billy just threw the fight in the trash, which was some bullshit. After all that bullshit that he was talking about wanting to fight Andrade. Amada says, but going back to Pac-Man, I want him to retire, honestly. He should retire. Pac-Man should retire, man. He ain't doing nothing but taking up space in the game right now. Yeah, he a legend. Yeah, he did this. Yeah, he did that. 8 division world champion. We can go down the list of all the accomplishments that Pac-Man has. But at the end of the day, my guy, you're not trying to fight the best. You're really taking fighters away from the fights that they should be in. You know what I'm saying? Because now they sitting around waiting on you. When in reality, they should be fighting each other. So what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? You ruining fucking fights. But at the end of the day, man, Manny and Mikey's a good fight, but I just wish he didn't ruin He didn't ruin fights to get to that path. I wish he would have just, hey man, I want to fight. Mikey Garcia is who we trying to negotiate with. I'm trying to make that fight, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like it wouldn't have been no issues. There ain't no issues negotiating with Mikey Garcia. You know what I'm saying? So what the fuck was all that throwing around shit for? You know, some bull ass shit. But let's move on. Let's go to the next fight, man. And we were talking about this fight a little bit earlier. One of the fights that's done. We got to put up the air quotes, that's done. You know what I'm saying? And that's AJ versus Fury. Now, here's the thing, man. The boxing news that I get about AJ and Fury is very frustrating. Because on 2 days ago, you hear Fury doesn't want to, Fury is over the fight. Fury's like, what's going on? What's happening? I don't, you know what I mean? I'm going to fight 2 times because AJ, and then we're going to try to fight the fight. You know, you hear about Fury saying all this shit. And then the next day you hear, oh, the fight's almost done. The fight's, you know what I mean? It's in talk. Everything is all but agreed to. It's all done. But it's like, how many times are we going to hear that shit? How many times are we going to hear that the fight is almost done? It's like over and over and over with this fight. And I get it. There's going to be hurdles and things like that that's going to get in the way of making the fight happen. To me, I don't really even think AJ should fight Fury at this particular point in time. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if the fight's going to be made, make the fucking fight so we can move on. You know, I'm tired of the boxing news. But nevertheless, okay, this is one of the fights that we have to look forward to for the year. You know what I'm saying? AJ and Fury should be a very good fight. Like I said earlier, I think AJ wins this fight. I think AJ stops. I don't. Well, if a stoppage is gonna happen, I think we all can acknowledge, for the most part, it's probably gonna be AJ that stops Fury. Aside from that Wilder fight, Fury doesn't really have any power to speak of. And given the fact that there are so many cheating allegations right now going on with Tyson Fury, I feel like the power that he had in the Wilder fight, somehow that power is not going to be available with the AJ fight. So we got to look at Tyson Fury from before Wilder, look at that power, and now analyze what the fuck is going on. Black Gold says, nasal spray Billy, y'all crazy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you came up with that shit. This is gold. Black Gold also says, low-key Eddie gets a lot of hate, but over the past 5 years in total, he has been a part of the most big and best fights. If your ass Fury and Joshua happens, it lets me know PBC never wanted it. Drayway says, it sucks the fight won't be in the UK. I agree. That was one of the things I was talking about in my video with AJ and Fury. It's like with AJ, he's like, yo, bro, like, this fight is supposed to be so big in the UK, and we can't even fight there. We can't even fight in the UK, which is where the fight would be biggest. So now it's going to be in the Middle East. And, you know, the Middle Eastern guys, they have dollars to put together in order to maybe compensate those guys in order to make the fight happen, that sort of thing. They'll make it worth their while. But it's like, would they make more money in the Middle East than they would have made in the UK? I don't know. Because they could have filled up a whole stadium in the UK. Charged hundreds of dollars per ticket. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have been a huge event. You know what I'm saying? So I think it definitely does suck that the fight's not in the UK. Drayway says, I was going to be behind on some bills because I was going to go to that fight. Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of those fights that you sacrifice a few bills to go to because it's one of those once in a decade kind of fights. You know what I'm saying? I personally think Wilder and Joshua would be a bigger fight, but just simply speaking from the UK, like being somebody who lives in the UK and seeing 2 UK natives, you know what I'm saying, fighting for undisputed, I can only imagine that's big. That's big right there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I would have definitely sacrificed a few bills, man. A few things would have had to get cut off. You was gonna have some shit cut off, Drayway? Drayway was about to have some shit cut off. He was about to be in the dark. That's what the fuck was gonna happen with Drayway. But yeah, back to what Black Gold said, man. Fury and Joshua happened to let me know PBC never wanted it. I mean, I ain't gonna say that, man. It was just so much back and forth between Fury and Wild. I mean, AJ and Wilder. It was just so much. I don't think AJ at one point wanted to fight Wilder. I think he kind of wants to fight Wilder now. Like now he's like okay with the idea of fighting Wilder. But I think there was definitely a point in time where AJ didn't want that smoke. You know what I'm saying? Amada says at its height, you're right that Wilder and Joshua was gonna be an event. Wilder and Joshua would have been the biggest fight in the world. It would have been the biggest fight in the world if it had happened when it was supposed to happen. Now it's to me, now the fight is still bigger than Fury and AJ. But Wilder, AJ would have been the biggest fight in the world. It would have been the biggest fight that since maybe Mayweather. I think he would have did Mayweather Pacquiao kind of numbers. I feel like that. I really do feel like that. Wilder Fury would have did Mayweather Pacquiao kind of numbers. Drayway says PBC has blocked so many fights. I don't see. Here's the thing. I'm under the ideology, right, that I don't believe that promotional companies and entities block fights. Because in my opinion, okay, I believe that the fighters have ultimate control over who they want to fight. At the end of the day, the fighter has the say so, in my opinion. If the fighter really wants to fight somebody, no matter what their promoter's talking about, because really the promoters work for the fighters. They organize the events and all this type of thing, but they work for the fighters like a manager or like a, you know what I mean? So if the fighters want the fight to happen, I don't see the any organization stopping that. I don't see them having the power to stop those fights from happening. You know what I'm saying? Why would they want to? Why would they want to? Yeah, maybe to protect their asset. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, if your fighter's adamant about fighting somebody, if he's convinced he wants to fight this person, if you're the promoter, you could probably legally block the fight from happening. But are you really willing to sully that relationship between you and your fighter in order to stop your fighter from doing something that he really wants to do? You know what I'm saying? Those are my thoughts on it. I think Black Gold says, I think Joshua always would have beat Wilder. Joshua has so many more tools. Joshua is more complete as a fighter. I agree with that. Joshua's more complete as a fighter for sure. But to counter that, Luis Ortiz was also more complete as a fighter than Wilder too, as well. Black Gold. Luis Ortiz is way better boxer to me than Wilder. And Wilder beat Luis Ortiz. It was a close one. It almost didn't happen. But Wilder beat Luis Ortiz. You know what I mean? And that's the scary thing about Wilder, because you can be the better boxer. You can be up on the scorecards. You can be, you know what I'm saying? Everything could be going right for you in the fight. You get hit one time and it's a wrap. You get hit one time and it's a wrap. Amada says, that sounds very good in theory, but it's not really the truth. Promoters or advisors, so to speak, control the fighters. I feel like they definitely have a strong influence on the decisions that the fighters make. But I'm gonna challenge you to look at it like this, right? Because I'm a realtor by profession, right? I'm a realtor by profession. Now, as a realtor, my job is to find a place for you. Okay. So I'm gonna send you different places, and the ones that you like, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna go and look at. But let's say we go to one of the houses. Let's say I really like it, but you don't like it. Well, I'm gonna be in your ear saying, hey, look, this house right here, it's a nice house. It fits all your criteria. It's this, it's that. You know, it'll give you everything you want to get. You'll be able to do everything that you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a great house for you. You know what I'm saying? But you really like this other house over here. You think that other house over here is better. You kind of want to get into that. Well, I'm gonna down talk you on that too. Hey man, that other house, it got this problem, it got that problem, whatever, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna be talking that house down, and I'm gonna be talking this other house up, the one that I want you to get into. Well, 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna go with the house that I'm talking up. You're probably gonna go with the house that I'm talking up. But at the end of the day, if you wanted to, you could. I'm a professional. If you wanted to, you can throw my opinion to the side and go with the house that you want. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you can throw my opinion in the trash and go with what you want. And that's how I feel like that relationship is with a manager and a promoter. I mean, a manager and a fighter, or a promoter and a fighter. The promoter slash manager can be all up in your ear. Hey man, look, you should do this, you should do that. I think hey man, you should really do that because this is the thing, man. Hey, look, don't do that because this is this. If you fight that person, this could happen, that could happen. And then the fighters, they get swayed by that. If somebody makes sense to you, okay, they might not tell you what to do, but if somebody makes sense to you, you might, hey man, I'm just go with that. You know what I'm saying? Because, this was spelled out for me like this. The art of persuasion, man. The art of persuasion. All right. Dre Way says Ortiz is 53, though. He always gassed out by the 5th round. He said he's 53. Why you do that man like that, Dre Way, man? He might be 53. Them Cubans be lying about that age. But hey, if he is 53, goddamn, he's in good shape for 53. But think about Luis Ortiz. Yeah, he always gassed out by the 5th round, but he has AJ be gassing out too. Those are heavyweights, remember, so you can't really hold them to the same standard that you would hold like a welterweight or something like that. All them heavyweights gas out by the 5th round. All of them. Ain't really none that I that doesn't gas out like that. You know what I'm saying? Wilder, AJ, Fury, all of them. You know what I'm saying? Black Gold says, I think it's case by case. Does it seem a little weird that Eddie, Bob, and Oscar all work together? Well, the thing is, we want them to work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want them to work together. That was the problem that we were having a few years ago, that they weren't working together, and that certain fights weren't getting made because they weren't working together. But they're working together now, which is great. That's what we want them to do, because that means that all the fights that we want to see can be made. You know what I'm saying? It means that they can't, because at one point there was a promotional beef. You know what I'm saying? And there was some legal hours, some legal time that was paid in order to resolve that matter. But now they're all on the same page. They're all willing to work together. So to me now, it's a matter of the fighters just wanting to fight. And mind you, like I said earlier, the promoters, you know what I'm saying? Of course, they're going to have people who they want you to fight. You know what I'm saying? I want you to fight this dude. I want you to fight that dude. But as a fighter, look, man, I want to fight this person, and you can't tell me shit. Black Gold says, oh, okay, hold on. Okay, some points are retracted. Amadis says, you're right, and that's why some of these fighters only fight once or twice. They're happy because they get overpaid with minimal risk. So, for example, why would Charlo fight Andre when he can fight Adams? Absolutely. 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 If I'm getting $6 million to fight some cab driver, and I'm getting $6 million to fight, Andre, why not just fight the cab driver and make the same amount of money? Thing is, their value is only, see, and that's the thing with these fighters these days, their value is only monetary. They're not thinking about the legacy aspect of it. They don't care about it. They don't care about it. They don't have that boxing legacy bone in them like that. They don't want to be great. There's only very few fighters out there that want to be great. Andre, Crawford, those are few. Devin Haney want to be great. These dudes aren't just fighting for money. They're fighting because they want to prove something. They want to prove that they're the best. They want to cement a legacy. They want to be in the boxing history books. Amada says, do you watch women's boxing? If so, what do you think of Matt Kill versus Brikas? I really don't watch women's boxing, man, to be real with you. I really don't. If I see a woman's fight, I'll watch it. You know what I'm saying? But it really would have to be something that, you know, I like. I would have to be scrolling and see it and just stop it. I don't really follow women's boxing like that. Only people I really know about is Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields. But Clarissa Shields, man, is over here talking about she could fight men and beat men and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm kind of falling back from Clarissa right now myself, just based on that, because she's talking real crazy right now with all that stuff. Black Gold says, off topic, but Jamie Mugia beats no elite middleweight. I think Jamie Mugia has a good chance of beating Triple G. But I wouldn't even call Triple G elite. But I think he'd probably beat. He doesn't beat Charlo. He's not beating Andrade. Triple G, maybe. I don't even think Mugia beats Canelo. But Triple G, I think he could probably beat. I think he could probably beat Triple G. Brockus is in women's. Black Gold says Brockus is in women's boxing. GOAT. All-time wise. Well, I'm not familiar with Brockus, man. Like I said, I don't follow women's boxing. But I'm going to go look at some highlights after this shit. After this live, I'm going to go look at some highlights, see what's going on. Drayway says, nah, GGG smoke Jamie. You think so? I don't know. I think that's about a 50-50 fight. I think he has a better chance of beating GGG than anybody else at the goddamn 160. And that's kind of a cop-out, but I feel like it's a 50-50 fight. I feel like it's 50-50. Drayway, Jamie's defense is his face. But he has good power, though. He has good power, and he has a good chin. So he can go up in there with Triple G toe-to-toe. I think fundamentally Triple G is probably better. Fundamentally, he's better. But I feel like Jamie Mugia will kind of get up in there and give Triple G some problems. Maybe I'm leaning more 60-40 Triple G. But I feel like it's a really good fight. Really good fight. Amada says Inoue wants to be great. Dude talking about moving up again. Inoue does want to be great. Yeah, Inoue is another one. Like, it's very few. It's a few of them out there. It's a few of them. Very few. There's way less of them than the others. You know what I'm saying? GGG would beat Jamal in his prime, though. I don't know about that, my boy. I don't know about that, Amadis. Amadis say GGG would beat Jamal in his prime. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. Jamal has, I don't know about that at all. Black Gold says, GGG still one of the top 10 jabs in boxing right now. He does. GGG got a damn good jab. GGG has a damn good jab. You know what I'm saying? Definitely does. But a good jab by itself is not going to get you past some of these people. Jamal Charlo has a good jab. You know what I'm saying? Jamal Charlo has a good jab. You know what I mean? So a good jab can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? But let's move on, man. Shit. Earl versus Ugas, man. There's another one right there. Earl versus Ugas. That's another fight that may or may not happen. I mean, we saw that fight going into negotiations, and we saw a few things happening with that fight. You know what I'm saying? But we haven't heard anything since. It's been weeks now. Earl and Ugas going back and forth on Instagram. I don't know if it was Instagram or Twitter, whatever the fuck it was. And we don't really know what the hell's happening now at this particular point. But Earl versus Ugas is one of the fights that we may have for this year. Which, to me, Earl Spence destroys Eugenio Ugas, completely and utterly obliterates Eugenio Ugas. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, obviously that's like a belt collection for Eugenio Ugas. For Earl Spence, he's just collecting that WBA belt. I'm sure he'll get some kind of credit. I wouldn't give Earl that much credit for it, but he does deserve some credit for beating Ugas. But I think he destroys him. I think that's a bad stylistic matchup for Ugas. You know what I'm saying? I personally think, and I talked about this last week, I personally think that Ugas should try to go after Keith Thurman. I think he should fight Keith Thurman first. Keith Thurman's a vulnerable fighter. Keith Thurman is coming off a 2-year layoff, wedding, injuries, all kinds of shit. I think he should fight Keith Thurman, and if he can get past, I think that's a much closer fight than an Earl Spence fight. And I think if he can get past Keith Thurman, then he can fight Earl Spence. And that way he can get his payday times 2. That's where I'm at with you, Dennis. Black Gold says, Amada says, no more gangsters in boxing, all businessmen. Oh yeah, man. Bud's still a boxer. It's a few boxers. Bud's still a boxer. Andrade is still a boxer. You know what I'm saying? We got a few boxers out there. But yeah, most of them are businessmen. Everybody think they Floyd and shit. That's the problem. Too many Floyd Mayweathers. Or want to be Floyd Mayweathers. Don't got the Mayweather resume or work ethic, but they all want to be Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? I might have said Spence. Yeah, man. Spence is going to hurt that man. Yes, sir. Black Gold says Spence is going to hurt that man. Has to be close to do his work. And Earl is better than him at everything. 100%, man. Hold on 1 second, man. Hold on 1 sec. I'm going to pause y'all for a minute. Hold on. Back in the building. Sorry about that. Back in the building. We back on point. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Spencer's gonna hurt Ugas, man. That style is all wrong for you, Dennis Ugas, man. All wrong. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna put that video out tomorrow or something like that. I did a video talking specifically about that, man. That stylistic matchup is all wrong. Earl gonna be cutting the ring off. He's gonna be throwing a bunch of body shots, man. He's gonna be hitting him with that jab. Ugas is gonna be trying to fight on his back foot, but just like you said, Black, he got to be close. His footwork ain't that good. You know what I mean? Earl's gonna destroy that man. It's gonna be it's gonna be actually kind of hard to watch, actually. Drayway says, better matchup, Earl versus Ferrari 2. Who y'all guys? Oh, you out of control, Drayway, man. You out of control with the shit right now. Amada says, I'm tired of 147 and 135 turning into the same thing. Yeah. You're not lying at all. Tio is down there. So Tio's gonna fight his mandatory. I really want to see what Tio next fight gonna be. What y'all think Tio fight gonna be next? I really want to see what he does next, because is he going to not fight Devin Haney again? Is he going to avoid or not fight Tank Davis? Is he going to fight Ryan Garcia? What is he gonna do? He doesn't want to fight Ryan either, I'm hearing. T.O. don't even want to fight Ryan, it looked like. They say T.O. might be wanting to move up to 140 and fight Josh Taylor or something like that. That'd probably be a good move for him, but he'll get beat by Josh Taylor, so I wouldn't mind watching that. But I don't like when fighters leave divisions that they haven't dominated. I don't like when fighters leave divisions they have not dominated. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you haven't conquered a division, you should stay there until that happens. Or you should stay there until you realize you can't fuck with the division and then you move out of the division, like what Danny Garcia is doing. Danny Garcia leaving 147, he going up to 154. He's like, I can't fuck with 147. Now, I don't know why you would go to 154. I think a better decision for Danny Garcia would be like if he were to go back down to 140. But he probably can't do that at this point in his career. But that would be a better career move than try to going up to 154. You ain't doing shit at 154. Black Gold says they still building fights at 147. Like, all the top fighters ain't over 30. Yeah, man. All these dudes are getting goddamn Social Security. They getting up there in age, man. It's ridiculous. Like, they want to build the fight. These dudes really feel like they Mayweather and Pacquiao. It's like none of y'all have the stock a Mayweather and Pacquiao have, and you dudes fight once a year. You know what I mean? You fight once a year, and then when you do fight, it's against a yawn worthy of fucking opponent. You know what I'm saying? Over 30s, man. Earl by 30. These dudes are in their 30s, man. In your 30s, you're supposed to be done with boxing. In your 30s, you're supposed to have had done everything that you wanted to do in your 30s. Amada says T.O. should fight Devin. He should. Why would you not fight Devin? That should have been your first fight after getting the rest of those belts from Lomachenko. Or even if, say, okay, he's fighting Kambosos, right? First of all, I just want to say, I'm not mad at him fighting Kambosos. I'm not mad at that at all. The problem with T.O. is you run your mouth saying that you're going to fight Devin. You're going to jump in the ring with Devin. Oh, Devin ain't shit. Devin ain't this. Devin ain't that. That's the fight that we're going to make. We're going to send contracts to Devin. We're going to send contracts to Kambosos. Whoever takes it, that's what we're jumping on. But at the end of the day, Devin was never really an option, and you always planned on fighting Kambosos. Why not just say that? Hey, I'm going to fight Kambosos. That's it. I'll fight Devin later. I'll fight Devin after that. I'll fight Devin, whatever. Just say what the fuck going to happen. All this fucking capping that these young dudes be doing for no fucking reason. They really make their life way more complicated than it really needs to be. Okay, if you plan on fighting Devin, that's all we really need to know. Like, you're every fight that you're in, for me, it doesn't have to be a super hard fight. Like back in the days, actually, I take that shit back because these dudes only fight once a year. Maybe if you fought 2 and 3 times a year, you could have little stay busy fights in between. You can fight your mandatory, you can fight Kambosos, cool, whatever. You can fight another bomb, whatever, as long as by the end of next year or the beginning of next year, you fought Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? Dreyway says, Devin might lose to Linares. We don't know how good Devin is yet. And he doesn't seem to have enough pop to keep guys off him. That's why I think Tank beats him. Well, Devin still hasn't come into his man strength yet. I mean, I think dude is like 21. He's like 20. He's still a real young dude. But yeah, he's definitely not like a, one punch knockout artist. But the thing is, when you have the skills, you really don't need to be. As long as you have respectable power, which I think he has at this particular point in his career, you're gonna win fights. Whether it's in 12 rounds or whether it's by stoppages late. You know what I'm saying? And that's why dudes don't want to fuck with him, because you still got to land that one punch. And Devin is just very, very fucking skilled. He's a very, very skilled fucking boxer, like Mayweather. And later on in his career, Mayweather wasn't knocking people out and stuff like that, but you knew Mayweather was going to outbox you. You know what I'm saying? Black Gold says, T.O. talking about suing Bob and giving him Taylor Ramirez. I don't think Bob should get Sure enough shouldn't. But for me, Bob, if he feel like he can make a few dollars from it, he might do it. You might do it because T.O.'s still under contract. T.O. is still under contract, but you're right. Odds are Bob is gonna be real salty from that. Odds are Bob is real salty from that. Black Gold says T.O. dog walks Devin. Loma beats Devin too, unless Loma looks really old. Devin doesn't give Loma anything to worry about because he will outbox Devin. Really? Really? I guess we might see, because that's one of the fights we're about to talk about. Devin versus Loma. Loma recently got on social media, called out Devin Haney. They were going back and forth on Twitter and Instagram. Now all of a sudden we might get this fucking fight. Loma and Devin. And I feel like that's a very interesting fight. As we know, Loma gave up his belt and inherited his franchise belt in order to avoid a fight with Devin. You know what I'm saying? I think Devin is all the things that Loma does not like to fight. Long, rangy, good jab, slick. Loma doesn't like those type of fighters. He had to pick between T.O. and Devin and decided to go with T.O. And I think the fact that he lost to T.O., who to me, T.O.'s long, rangy, and slick, the fact that he lost to T.O. tells me that he probably going to lose even worse to Devin. Because Devin's a much better boxer than T.O. You know what I'm saying? Amada says, if you're under 26, you should be fighting 3 to 5 times a year for sure. Facts. 3 to 5 times a year. These dudes fight once every 2 years. I really only feel like they fight once every 2 years because they start running out of money. They start running out of money. They're like, oh shit, we're running low on money. We gotta I need to fight again. You know what I mean? 3 to 5 times a year should be a norm. But these dudes fight once every 2 years. It's ridiculous. Dre West says Devin's skills are overrated. Shakur looks much better than Devin. I agree with that. Shakur does look more balanced and more composed than Devin. And they sparred before. I watched that sparring. Did you watch that sparring, Dre Way? Where Devin and Shakur sparred? Shakur, now mind you, that was some years ago, and mind you, that was sparring, but you can see that Shakur kind of got Devin number, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to certain things. Because I don't see Devin's style changed that much since him and Shakur sparred. And Shakur is just that kind of fighter where, you know what I'm saying, he's gonna keep you on your, he's gonna put you back on your, he's a really good counter puncher, and he throws a lot of punches. And slick fighters, one of their kryptonites is people who throw a lot of punches and who are good counter punchers. So yeah, Shakur is definitely going to be one of those dudes that's going to give Devin problems for sure. That's going to be a really good fight whenever it happens. Black Gold says Mayweather was stopping everything breathing at lower weight though. 100, he definitely was. But I made that comparison talking about like Mayweather when he was older in the higher weight divisions. You know how he would just outbox the shit out of people. You know what I mean? Like what he did with Canelo. I feel like Devin has that same kind of the same kind of skills to be able to do that to a lot of fighters. Not everybody, but a lot of fighters. I think he could do it to Loma too. Amada says he didn't avoid a fight with Devin. He chose to unify with T.O. He chose to unify with T.O. I mean, yeah, Devin was his mandatory. He was supposed to fight Devin in order to keep his belt. Devin was his mandatory. So what do you do when you have a mandatory? You either fight the person or you give up the belt. And he gave up the belt. So that's avoidance if I've ever heard it. You know what I'm saying? You don't give up your belt. And then not only did he give up the belt, but he applied for the franchise belt. You know what I'm saying? And we've heard Mauricio Suleiman over and over again say that you have to apply for that belt. You have to apply for it in order to get it. So you give up your belt and then you apply for a franchise belt. Why do that instead of just fighting your mandatory, Devin Haney? You know what I'm saying? He fought T.O. after that, after he avoided Devin. You know what I'm saying? My boy Terry Smoot in the building. Terry Smoot, what they do? Terry Smoot, what they do, my guy? Yes, sir. Black Gold says Loma lost it more than T.O. won. Yeah, I think Loma could have won that fight. He turned it on in the second half. Just like you said, okay, I'm reading it now. The second half of the fight was totally different. Loma kind of dominated in sports and for a moment looked like he was going to stop Loma. Loma fought, though, 100%. Credit to T.O. Yeah, definitely credit to T.O. But Loma decided to turn it on way too late. I don't know what his game plan was for that fight. Maybe his game plan is they were banking on T.O. not being conditioned well enough and maybe like getting him later on in the late rounds and stopping him. Maybe that was their game plan, but that shit clearly didn't work. That shit clearly didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Drayway says, yes, I saw the sparring. You saw the sparring? Yeah. And Shakur handled him. Shakur handled him. Devin got some good shots in, but you could see Shakur was definitely the dominant figure in that sparring. And if it would have went on like that, Devin probably would have got real hurt. Terry Smooth says, Devin is a pure boxer, 100%. Devin beats T.O. and Loma. I agree with that. I agree with that as well, my boy Terry. Amada says, that's a good point, though. Devin might be in trouble as he moves up and his pop doesn't improve. Well, we'll see. We know that when fighters move up, sometimes their power, increases, like we see with Bud Crawford right now. Crawford moved up from 140 to 147. He knocking everybody out. Everybody getting knocked the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I feel like people age different. You grow into that man strength. I feel like when you get older, you definitely get more of that knockout power, though, for sure. For sure. Amada says, okay, hold on. Black Gold says unification trumps mandatories, though. I thought it definitely does. It definitely does trump mandatories, but that happened before. That fight came about. Because here's the thing: if that didn't happen, then Lomachenko should still be the WBC champ. Not anymore because he lost to T.O. But that's why T.O. has that franchise belt now, because Lomachenko could not hold on to that belt. If it was at the time, if he avoided Devin for a while. If at the time he would have just fought Devin, then if he would have beat Devin, he would have still had that belt. You know what I'm saying? He pretty much hung Devin out to dry. You know what I'm saying? Made him wait. And then the T.O. opportunity came up and he just took that. He was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to apply for the franchise belt. I don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to let this WBC belt go. He made Devin wait, really. Drayway says WBC changed their rules about franchise 5 times already. Oh, yeah, man. They WBC out of control. They ruining fucking boxing. Those guys are jokes. Amada says Devin went 12 rounds with Gamboa. You know what Crawford's resume looking real good. Tank and Devin labored way past it. Gamboa and Postal gave Taylor, and I thought he beat Ramirez. Amada says gave Taylor trouble. Terry Smooth says Gamboa lost 3 times. How many times has Luke Campbell lost? Oh, good point. Luke was never a world champion like Gamboa. Gamboa is a solid dude, man. I don't like when people go after Gamboa like that. Gamboa was undefeated before he fought Terrence Crawford. His first loss was to me, the pound for pound best in the sport, Terrence Crawford. And it was a damn good fight. He was actually doing well against Terrence in the first 3 rounds. Yes, sir. But let's move on to the next fight, man. Here you go, the last fight we're gonna talk about for the night, man. Then I'm gonna have to end this stream. I gotta take care of some shit. But the last fight we're gonna talk about for the night, man, is Canelo versus Billy Joe, man. We talked about it a little bit earlier, Canelo and Billy Joe, but not enough. We're gonna go over it real quick, man. Then I'm gonna end this fucking stream. Canelo and Billy Joe is a really good fight, man. I like the fight. Honestly, I like the idea of the fight on paper. I like the fight on paper. Let's put it like that. The fight on paper is a good fight. Billy Joe has solid, slick boxing skills. Canelo has problems against fighters like that. So in my estimation, on paper, this should be a good fight. Now, the problem with this fight, though, the problem with it is Billy Joe hasn't really looked the same since his last 2 fights. He's kind of looked a little lackluster. You know what I'm saying? So, it's real tough to feel excited about this fight because we're kind of looking at a fight that would have been good 2 years ago, but right now it's like, you know what I'm saying? According to everybody, this fight is I feel like this fight is actually going to happen. Billy Joe and Canelo. It's on BoxRec that they're going to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? Canelo wins by UD. I think Canelo has a good chance of stopping Billy Joe. I feel like he does. I think he does. Amada says, I'm from New York, big dog. Relax. Okay. I'll talking to each other. Black Gold says, Bud isn't pound for pound. Just, he probably meant to say by accomplishments, but he's the best fighter. 2 different things. Well, he's the only fighter. He's the only fighter right now that has been undisputed. He's the only fighter in recent times, okay, that's been undisputed. No one else can say that. No one else fighting can say that they've been undisputed in the division. They can say they were unified. They can say they had a few belts, but no one, until maybe Josh Taylor becomes undisputed at 140. Josh Taylor will be the second in recent history that has been undisputed in the division. So when you add that, and then you add the fact that he's also held belts in 3 different weight divisions, possibly a 4th, because his new destination may be 154. I think you got to give Bud a lot of credit for that. 100%. I think that is what propels him above everyone else, because you can say that he was the best in a weight division. I can't say Canelo's the best at any weight division because he's never campaigned there long enough to be able to claim that title. He's never collected all of the belts in order to be undisputed. I can't say that Earl Spence is the best at 147 because there are people at 147 he hasn't fought. I can't say there are people that are at 147 that can call themselves champions. He's never been the best at any weight division. I can say Terrence Crawford has been undisputed. He's been the best at a weight division, meaning no one else can claim that title. And T.O. is not undisputed. Okay, we're not doing this. T.O. is not undisputed. Not only is he not undisputed, but he didn't collect those belts. Loma collected those belts. He got one and then fought Loma. Dre Way says Canelo has too many names and accomplishments, though, for Bud to be ahead, but I do think Bud is a better fighter. Canelo has, what accomplishments do you mean when you say he has too many accomplishments? What accomplishments? He's held belts. He's held belts. But again, he's never been the best at any weight class. If you go to any division that the Canelo's campaigned at, you can never say that he was the best at that division. Or wait, maybe you could, because one time Canelo had a fight at 155. You know what I mean? He's done plenty of catch weights. Maybe you could say he's the best at 155 or 156, whatever weight division he fought at. But you can never say that he was the best at any weight division. Because there's people in the division who held belts who could say that they're champions. He's never cleaned anything out. And for that, you can't call Canelo the best. You can't call him pound for pound. Bud can make that argument. Canelo can't. Amada says Canelo's done so many weight clauses and taking PEDs, it's hard to rate him properly. Facts. He has. I like Canelo. But yeah, man, there's a lot of shadiness going on with Canelo. He was the best at 160. Okay, if he was the best at 160, why didn't he fight the WBO champion Demetrius Andrade at 160? That would have made him the best, but he didn't fight Andrade. He chose to move up to 168. He chose to move to 168. He could have did that, but he was like, I'm gonna go to 168. Can't call him the best because there was still another guy at the division who could call himself champion. So that's all I mean, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream, man. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me this far, but we're gonna go ahead and end this goddamn stream. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm here every Tuesday and Friday. Tuesdays at 8 o'clock, Fridays at 11. Normally, that's when I'm coming on. But tonight, I got some shit going on, so I got to go. But Tuesdays and Fridays is when I'm on. Talk Your Shit Boxing on Tuesdays at 8. Late Night Boxing Talks at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. I hope I see y'all guys then for the next time I'm on, which is going to be on Tuesday. But until next time, man, I'll holler at y'all. Peace.